So we're waiting for our bread to rise, our bread dough. We've got our coffee this morning and we're just enjoying our summer kitchen this morning in our glider rocker here and thinking about, I'm thinking about what I want to tackle this summer and spring. And I'm going to start and then you chime in. I'd love it if you would chime in and tell me some of the things you want to tackle this spring and summer. So one of the first things that I want to tackle is my little stump garden that's right off to the north of our summer kitchen. I want to take my what's that gopher thing called?
A gopher?
Is it a gopher? That tiller, that twisty tiller gopher thing? I want to get out there and till up all of the dirt. And I have a packet of wildflower seeds that I got a couple of years ago, and I want to broadcast those out and see if those will take and see if we can just fill that little area with some wildflowers. So that's one of the first things that I want to do this spring. What about you, Daddy? What are some things you want to do?
Barbecue.
Barbecue.
I don't know. I got to clean my workshop out. I got to pull, it's going to be an intense deal. I got to pull everything out of there. And I want to clear out some area and stuff and move the hay to one side that's in there that's taking up all the room in the center and make it to where I can put a vehicle in there. I need to work on something. So
we have a really nice workshop that we have had completely clad in steel, new steel roof, new steel siding, but we have stuff in there that's been in there for 7 years from the day that we moved in here. When we moved into the farm, it was 50 degrees below zero with the wind chill. And everybody that was helping us move, they didn't want to take the time to bring it in the house so I could go through. So a whole bunch of boxes just got shoved out into the shed. And unfortunately, we didn't get, probably not even half of it gone through before we lost a lot of it to a leaky roof. And a cat that had kittens in there, and I think there were raccoons in there too. But now we've got it pretty much buttoned up. But we have a lot of stuff we have to go through. So everything probably needs to be drug out, gone through, and then reorganized. So I think the workshop, that's a good task for you this year. Yeah. Another thing I want to do this year is I have, next to my stump garden, I have a tree stump that's about 5 foot tall. And I want hubby here to take his chainsaw and kind of cut the edges at a slant so I can take some fence posts that are scalloped and really pretty and use those to look like shingles to make a little roof on it. And I want to make a little gnome home out there right off of my stump garden. So I'm hoping he'll be able to do that for me. I really want to get the little gnome garden taken care of. I've got some little gnomes out there now, but they've taken a beating over the last 5 or 6, 7 years of snow and rain and wind. So I haven't decided if I'm going to try to repaint them or just pick up some new ones. But I do want to get that little gnome home set up. I think the kids would really like that, the grandkids, when they come over.
Are you going to go through the wandering path and pick up your gnomes?
I've gone through the wandering path, and I've picked up a couple of my gnomes and a couple of hedgehogs. I think I have almost everything out from the walking path, which has since overgrown, and we've got some felled trees out there that we need to pay attention to or just ignore. I'm not sure which. But we need to do that. So that is one of my second items that I really would like to accomplish this year, is get my gnome home going. So
I just need to fix the chainsaw, put the new carburetor on it, get the chainsaw going.
Get the chainsaw going. Either that or we need to find some way to actually...
Did you say go buy a new chainsaw?
Did I say go buy a new chainsaw? Maybe I did. So what's another thing you want to do besides buy a new chainsaw?
I'd like to get that old barn completed.
We need to get the old barn completed. We've got a neighbor that has been helping us knock that down, get that cleared, and he wasn't able to do any work over the winter time. But now that spring and summer's here, hoping he'll be able to come over, shove the rest of it to the end, and we're going to set it on fire and get that all cleared up, because eventually I want that spot to be where my raised garden is going to be, and a new cattle panel greenhouse that I want to build, and just kind of get everything set up out there. I think it'll be a great spot for having a garden as soon as we get that all cleared. And I'm really anxious for that to get done as well. And when that's cleared, here's another thing I want to do. When that's all cleared and we get everything, all the weeds and everything taken care of over there, we have an old corn crib. And it's seen better days. I don't know how much longer it's going to be there, but I don't have any intention of knocking it down or burning it down right now. It's got a lot of character. It's been here for, I don't know, probably close to 100 years. And I want to paint big, huge sunflowers on the side of that corn crib. I think that'll be really neat. I'm going to see if I can get my sister-in-law to come help me map it out and figure out the design. And she's a great artist. See if she'd like to come out if I make some sweet tea or something, if she'll come spend the day with me and help me at least get the outlines started so I can get that painted. So that's one thing I want to do.
So
Your turn.
I gotta come up with some type of for next winter an enclosure for CJ or Donkey.
An enclosure for CJ or Donkey. We have two, what would you call those out there? Those two buildings that are out there.
Metal storage or metal.
Are they metal?
They're metal.
Oh, I didn't know they were metal. I thought they were wood. We've got two little storage buildings, and they're up on, huh?
They're not little.
They're not little. To me, they're little compared to the other outbuildings on the farm. But we've got two little sheds out there. And I've proposed to my neighbor if he would like to move one over to the lower pasture so that our donkey can actually have that as a shelter, he can take the other. So I'm hoping that they'll be able to do that for us this year so that CJ has some sort of shelter. CJ, our little donkey, he lived in the barn until the barn collapsed after we had some straight line winds come through, about 60-mile-an-hour winds. And that barn had been hit by a tornado before in 1960 or 1961. And it just wasn't in the best shape. There was just no way we could afford to put the money into it to save it. I was hearing upwards of $100,000 to save that, and I even contacted, there goes a truck. I even contacted the Historical Barn Society, and they would help with some of it. They would help with 50%, but we didn't have $50,000 to put towards a barn. So eventually one day it just got to the point where a strong wind came through and took it the rest of the way down. So our neighbor has been helping us kind of clear some of that. But we do need to have some place for CJ to live. Right now, he's actually living in our stock trailer. We have the stock trailer set up so it gets the least amount of wind, so he can go in there and get shelter when he needs to from the wind and the rain and the snow. And I think we've had that for him. Has it been 2 winters now that he's lived in there? And it's worked well, but I'd like for him to have something a little more sturdy as well. And I'd also like to see if we can get, what do you call that thing that you've got out there for our water catchment?
It's an IBC container.
An IBC container.
320-gallon plastic container.
We want to set up so we can catch some of the rainfall off of
The
workshop, go into the storage container so we've got water right there for CJ as well. So that's another thing to look at doing. I want to get my garden all cleared up and ready. I've made a conscious decision this year, and a lot of you might not agree with it. I don't know, but this is what I'm going to do. I did not start any seedlings this year. I've got all my seeds tucked away in case I need them for later. And this year, our local farm supply, they're already setting up for their greenhouse. So I'm going to get my seedlings there. I'm just going to get seedlings from the farm supply, tomatoes and peppers, cucumbers, green beans. And we're just going to get seedlings, and we'll put seedlings in after the last threat of frost here. And we'll get that little garden going. Because if things take a turn for the worse, then I've still got my seeds. And I think that's just the way I've decided to go this year. What you doing there, Harley? Little bouncy bounce man. This is Harley. He's our senior rescue. He's a sweet boy. And this is Charlotte. We call her Charlie. Sometimes we have Harley and Charlie. She's the little princess, so we call her Charlotte most of the times. So I'm looking forward to spending more time out here in this summer kitchen now that things have warmed up a little bit. I know that everybody, including this guy right here, thought I was pretty crazy when I decided to clear out this garage. It was a pigsty and a chicken coop, and I had a grand vision of having a summer kitchen. And when I started cleaning it out, I know they all thought I was nuts. But once it started coming together and they could see the vision that I had, I think they agreed that it turned out to be a pretty good deal. We really like spending a lot of time out here. We've got party lights up in the rafters so we can turn those on at nighttime and spend a lot of time out here. We've got music. So we sing and we dance and we goof around out here and just spend a lot of time out here during the summer. So I'm glad that today is a beautiful day to spend my first real day out here in the summer kitchen.
Wind died off finally.
The wind died off. It was very windy. It's been very cold, very windy. But today is the first real day that we can spend some time out here and just sit in this beautiful antique glider rocker and just enjoy our farm. So another thing I want to get done, and you can't see it because it's off camera, I'll take a picture, is we have a garden tower. It's a green stock garden tower, and we brought it in for the winter. I'm kind of waiting to see if anything survived, but I'm going to clean all that up, amend the soil, get that stacked back up, and decide what herbs I want to plant in there this year. But we have to consider our placement different this year. We had it just outside the garden where I could easily reach it for watering last year, and for ease of just walking out of the kitchen, snipping some basil or some rosemary. But this year we're going to have to find a new place for it because Mrs. Turkey roams the farm now. She doesn't stay in the orchard with the other animals, and now even all the other animals, they're starting to come out. We've got a breach in security somewhere. They're starting to roam the farm instead of staying in the orchard, so we've got to look into that. But I know if we have everything set up with herbs, she's just going to see that as an all-you-can-eat salad bar. So we need to find some place in the garden enclosure to set that up so she won't eat everything there. So that's something we need to work on. And another thing that I'd like to do is I have to find some way to keep Mrs. Turkey from flying into the garden enclosure. So I'm hoping this weekend we're going to go into town a little bit. I want to get some filament, some fishing wire, fishing line, strong fishing line. And I want to set up a perimeter around the little garden area back here. And in one of my earlier videos on my thrift store haul, I showed that I got some really pretty silver Christmas ornaments. And I want to hang the Christmas ornaments from the filament line around the perimeter so she'll see there's something there and she won't want to fly in. Because last year, Mrs. Turkey and Chandler, or Mr. Turkey, they got in there and they ate our beets. They ate all of our beets. One day they were just coming up beautifully, and then I went in the next day and they were all just down to nubs. And then they also used our raised garden beds for dust baths. So they kicked all of the soil out and they were dust bathing in there. Dust bathing? Dust bathing?
Dust bathing.
Dust bathing. So I love Mrs. Turkey, but I don't want her in there eating all of the vegetables as they come up. So we need to do that before we get our little seedlings in there as well. So that's something that I want to tackle this year too. We'll have to tackle that one pretty early so we can get our seedlings in. What else do you want to do?
That's a lot of things to tackle.
That's a lot of things to tackle already. We have our deck, on the south side of our deck needs steps, but with the price of lumber right now, I think we're going to wait on that.
We need to pick up bolts to fix our address sign.
We need to get some bolts to fix the address numbers, the street numbers out on the gravel road. It was so windy the other day, it actually snapped the bolts that were holding the sign up for the fire department to see and for the police, the reflective one. And one day I noticed the FedEx man was having a difficult time figuring out where to go. I saw him going back and forth out on the street. He finally came here and delivered the packages, but I realized he didn't know where he was because our sign had blown off. And I found it down in the ditch, and the bolts are just broken clean off. So it was a really windy day that day.
There were rivets.
Rivets?
There were rivets that broke.
Rivets.
So I'm going to put bolts on there.
Bolt it up, baby.
Bolts it up.
What do you think, Harley? Bolts? He says yes, bolts. He agrees with you. He concurs. And I don't know if we'll be able to, but we do need to kind of go out and reconfigure or shore up, or at least bring it all in again. The pond outside that we have out in the back of the orchard there for the ducks and the pig and the chickens. The pig's gone out and he's He's Rudy Toot-Tooted all over the place and pushed all of the rocks away from the perimeter of the pond that holds the liner in. And he lets the water spill out, and that's where he lays in the mud. It makes a mud bath for him, which is fine. But I want to gather up all of the rocks again and get all of the rocks put back together. Straighten it out. Make it look like we at least attempted something. And they have a cute little bridge. They used to have a bridge that would go from land out into the center of the pond. And then I had a spool out there for the ducks to sit on, but that's pretty much been destroyed. So we need to fish that out and get that out of there so nobody gets caught up on anything or steps on a nail and hurts themselves. Clean that all up. So, like you said, that's a lot for us to get done this year already.
Have time for barbecue.
And we gotta have time for barbecue. What are you looking forward to barbecuing this year?
What?
What? Yeah, what?
I don't know. Probably raw chicken.
Anything and everything he could throw on his grill, I think, is what he's gonna go for.
Since you're a vegetarian, there's going to be a lot of vegetables, probably.
I've got my own separate little grill that he cooks on for me because I'm a vegetarian. So we'll do that. But we're going to bake lots of bread this year, I think. I'm going to experiment a lot with our sun oven. We had our sun oven all last year during the summer months out here working. Made all kinds of neat stuff. I'll be doing that again this year and seeing what all we can make in it. And I sure do like that sun oven. I think it's great for times where if we lose electricity, if we lose power, and we want to bake something, we can just with the power of the sun. We don't have to use any electricity.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that. You hear the birds singing?
Wind chime going.
A little bit of a wind chime, a little bit of the birds. Springtime on the farm. Farm is coming to life. Okay, Daddy. Should we get up and get something going?
Gotta do something.
Thank you for joining us for coffee. It's the first time we've had just a little coffee chat. See if we can get this guy to talk a little bit more next time. He's not very much of a talker. He's more of a doer. So he's going to get out there. We're going to get some stuff done.
I'm more of a eater.
And he's telling me he's ready for breakfast. I got some eggs out of the window the other day for the nesting boxes this morning. I pulled 2 more out. So we'll put together some eggs for breakfast and make him happy. We'll see you next time. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Have a blessed day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.